the way things went after watching the film Sunday night, and would you like to maybe see a series or two Thursday? I know that most starters don't play in the fourth preseason game.
Right. Yeah. Again, something to build off of from Sunday night's game. Didn't like what happened, but things to improve on. And obviously, if we're going to give the opportunity to play, it's up to Coach Vrabel.
Mike said that Arthur's probably going to call plays from the sideline this season. He seems like he likes the communication process with that. Does it make a difference to you from that aspect, or is that just something that you go with the flow?
Yeah, it's really up to the play caller. Having Art down on the sideline does help in terms of adjustments and communicating, but it's really up to them how they feel.
Whether you play Thursday or not, how much do you feel like this offense is regular season ready?
Yeah, I think no matter what, we're ready to go. Since spring, I think our guys have bought into what Art has established, and again, it's just building one day after another, and it's no different today as we go out there and practice.
Feeling I know what your answer is going to be, but the deep pass to Corey Davis early in the Pittsburgh game almost hits. What needs to happen to make that a connection, do you think?
Yeah, it's got to give him a chance, a better throw. He ends up winning on the route. If I put the ball out a hair more, I think he can just run under it instead of having to jump for it.
When you guys offensively were able to get that running game flowing and humming, how much does that help your job as a quarterback?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely see some favorable, throwing opportunities. If teams want to stop the run, they load the box. It's going to give us a chance to make plays down the field. I think having the running backs that we do have, we can create some mismatches and hopefully some favorable chances.
What was your assessment of A.J., his first extensive action came Sunday night?
Yeah, I thought he did well. Again, I think that transition for a young receiver is, I think, a lot harder than people think. And for him, again, to come in, he was in the right spot, made some plays for us on third down, and that's kind of the expectation for us. So moving forward, hopefully we can continue to help him with his transition, but I think he's done a good job so far.
What's this week like, I guess, for you and for players? You go through the offseason with 90 guys on the roster. A lot of them you're throwing to in practice, and then this time next week it'll be down to 53, and a lot of these guys will be gone. What is that like kind of last?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. For me personally, it's a tough week because, again, you have guys that you develop relationships with, friends, and unfortunately it's kind of the nature of the business. At the same time, it does get a little exciting, though, because you have, you have a game coming up, and, you're going to roll with the guys that they choose.
You looking at Browns already, or where are you as far as the process going?
Just focusing on Chicago, getting ready for that, and if Coach wants us to play, we'll be ready for that. And then when Cleveland gets ready to go next week, we'll be ready for that.
Marcus, I don't think you've actually lined up in a play, practice, or preseason with every single weapon in the huddle or around you yet at this point. What's your level of connection with all the guys, given the fact that you haven't had them all available yet?
Well, I trust those guys, and no matter what, just seeing even our young guy AJ or Hump, and when coaches are asking them questions in meetings, they can spit the answer back. Those, I think, create that trust and that chemistry that we need, and when given the opportunity, and those guys will go make plays.
You've had a lot of moving parts in front of you this offseason as they kind of try to figure out the offensive line. Has that made your job harder at all this offseason as compared to others?
No, I wouldn't say so.
Talked about the inconsistencies with the offense. Well, over the next week or so, what do you do to iron those out? And you specifically, how can you help with that?
One, for instance, giving our guy a chance to make a play, being a little more accurate with the football. But from there, just developing, and communicating across the board of what I see, what things to expect, where they need to be in terms of the play concept. And just really from that point on, just a sense of urgency and knowing that no matter what, every play, we've got to have a mentality to score.
Now that you guys have progressed to the play call, like planning part of preparing for games, do you and Coach Smith, do you guys sit down okay, this play works, this concept works? Like, are you guys doing that now?
Yeah, and really I think it's kind of across the board with all the quarterbacks. And we talk about what we don't like, what maybe we feel we saw in film, things that or areas where we feel like we can attack, and then from there, Art kind of just does his thing. But the fact that we have a chance to put input, I think across the board for us as quarterbacks makes us feel good.
Have you found that there's a common thread between what you like and what Ryan likes?
It really honestly kind of depends game plan to game plan. There's times where I think we like certain concepts, and then there's other times where he might like something more than I do. So it's just kind of unique to each individual. But Art does a great job of, asking each of us individually what we do like and kind of catering that plan to whoever's in the game.
Marcus, we've seen you have some really good days, really sharp days out here on the practice field, but in 7 possessions in preseason games, that hasn't really carried over for the most part. Is there any concern on your part that it hasn't carried to the game field yet?
Not at all. Not at all. For me personally, I feel like I've played enough ball over the last few years to kind of understand and be ready to go. Obviously, you would love to score on every possession, especially in the preseason. But at the same time, it's a work in progress, and I think when we look back on it, it's just another step in our journey.
You said maybe at the start of OTAs or early in the offseason that you weren't really changing your approach coming into year 5. But you did put on weight, you changed your diet, you did ultimately talk about some things that you did change. Did you maybe change more than you let on in terms of how you were coming into this season?
Maybe physically, but for me as a player mentally, I haven't. And I really only know how to play the game one way, and that's just with as much effort and just go out there and try to give my all every single play. So physically, I guess, yeah, I've gone a little bit of a change, with the added weight and whatnot. But for me, mentally, I've always approached the game the same way.